Okay, everybody. So, right now, I don't exactly have a plan. Exactly. One thing, let's see here. Okay, so, um, I'm deciding, I think, that I will allow you to play all the characters like I originally intended. And, I guess I don't know if you call him the main character or what point of view. It's not the point of view character. I don't guess you really have a point of view character in an adventure game. That's more like the player's the point of view. But the guy that ties us all together is our wizard, Henry. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound very wizard-like or funny or whatever, but right now we'll just call him halfway because he's only halfway. He's only got half his magic. So basically, this main story is essentially his story, right? So what happens is the king acts strange, and the schools close up. I'm just doing this from memory. I have to pull out my notes from somewhere, but the the fairy godmother. I don't know. I had them different, like like Wizard University and Princess Prep and Knights Academy, and I think uh wait a minute, Wizard University, Wizard U. I forget what the Fairy God College, I think is what I called it. Okay, so you have the four schools, right? Because you want to go on this vacation, you want to fight dragons, or you want to be a fairy godmother, bestow, magic gifts on people, and or you want to be a knight, fighting a real dragon, or whatever. And so there's each of these four. And in fact, this is sort of mirrors, like, say, Disneyland, which has the four lands. So you'll have an area for the princesses, and for the you know for the knights, and you'll have the area for the fairy godmothers, and then the wizards, and they all have their area, which in my original stories or ideas, I really didn't pay that much attention to, other than the fact that they were closed up. And I'm kind of thinking, maybe since I am kind of mirroring, like like Disney World or whatever, or Disneyland, or theme park, that maybe it should really do that. And then so you'll actually have to go through these different deals. And it was really cool because I just thought this up. And even though I already have ideas for the story, like that, how the bad guy comes in, and what Henry's trying to do, uh, I decided to be the idea is, well, see, the original idea was that there was a prince that was he was spirited away to a different realm because of the current the problem they had before with uh, with Max, right, the bad guy. Okay, so Maximilian Spell, he's an evil wizard, and basically he wanted to before, what he wanted was he wanted he wanted a actually, before I had written the story to where it would be the same thing as now, but what I changing instead is just his the scope of his plans. So right now his plans are to take over the other realms by raising up this magical army, and to do this, he's the basically Enchanted Lands runs on this mineral we'll nickname Quicksilver, for lack of a better. I'm not good at coming up with names half the time, but so basically a lot of the magic and stuff in Enchanted Lands runs off this Quicksilver. So Max is trying to raise up an army by imbuing citizens and tourists with magical abilities by experimenting on them with this Quicksilver, trying to get it into them, like, experiments, right? It's trying to inject them with Quicksilver or whatever, trying to make something happen that will cause them to be able to have magic, and then he can raise this army, and he can march into the realms. And so the original story, or the backstory, you might say, has to do with was kind of the same thing, but I realize now that because basically when he comes back in, he sneaks back in, and he thinks he's got all of his bases covered. He's got the king. I'll just go ahead and lay out spoilers, because this isn't really about like keeping it the story secret, right? With Double Fine Adventure, basically the two player productions, or whatever they're called, was, they were kind of censoring stuff. They were kind of not revealing too much, so they wouldn't reveal too much, even though they were still producing a documentary behind the scenes. But in my case, it doesn't matter to me, because what it will be is people that are interested in making this type of game, or making games in general, they won't really care. I'm assuming you won't really care that I'm spoiling the game, because this is about making the game, right? Not playing it. So, and then other people that would play it, that would see it on a shelf, or would see it online somewhere or whatever, and would be interested in playing it, they won't necessarily watch this behind the scenes stuff. They just like to play games, right? Pardon me. So I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this right up front. So basically, he sneaks in with a little bit of Quicksilver, because basically to get into Enchanted Lands you need Quicksilver, and it can be like, it can be a ticket, it can be a coin, it can be a necklace, it can be anything. And he had managed to abscond with a little piece, a little bit in the lining of his coat. So when he was banished, they didn't know he had it. So when he comes back, he sneaks in. He's able to actually come back in. So now, basically, Henry and the King were able to thwart Max back in the day. And so when he comes back, he basically comes in and kidnaps the king, and puts like a puppet king in his place. And I don't really know what the form of the puppet king is going to take. If it's just going to be like, literally a puppet. He could be, I could make it. It might make it funny if he's literally a puppet, right? Like a marionette or whatever. In fact, the magic mirrors can work as two-way communication devices, or like we watch TV, like that. So and they're made of Quicksilver, right? So basically, maybe he could be literally a puppet king that's that's put in place of the real king, to do what Max wants. And actually, I think I kind of like that. But in any case, so basically, he does that. Um, he brings in Violet Moonshadow, and she's a witch or sorceress or enchantress. I don't know. You take your take your pick. But she basically tricks Henry into marrying her, and then and he basically gives her half of his magic, and that's usually supposedly what wizards do when they when they get married, right? That's one of the things that they do. They literally give half their magic right to their partner or whatever, to their wives or husbands or whatever. Um, so Violet tricks him. Little does Henry know then is that she is already married, and so it's it's messed up, but eventually not eventually, but she ends up leaving, basically leaving him right after he gives her the magic. And so now he hasn't seen her since then, and she's actually ends up coming back in with Max to do his dirty deeds or whatever. So going back to the backstory, so basically he tried to raise up this army and he was thwarted, and this time when he comes back, his scope is much larger. So what he wants to do is he wants to take over all the realms that connect to Enchanted Lands. And to do that, he's got to build. He's got to open a big enough portal. He still has plans to build an army, the same way, but he starts work on this machine, and this machine will actually open a portal into wherever he wants to do it, and big enough so he can actually march an army through and take over. So there's that, and so basically Henry hides away this prince, and he sends him to our world when he's like a baby or whatever. And because originally I had this idea of the lost treasure or something of the kingdom, or some weird thing like that, where it was this treasure, and then you find out later that the treasure was actually this prince, this long lost prince. So I'm keeping this long lost prince thing in there, but the baby is sent to our world, right? So now if you're playing the game for the first time, you're not going to know this. And see, I'm doing a lot of talking again and not much doing, right? But so basically, he needs somebody to help him, and of course that somebody is our prince. But with a player that's never seen this and never played the game before, they're not going to know he's the prince until the end. And so something that I just thought of, like I just was saying, was that these four things, he's going to have to kind of prove himself that he's the prince, right? So it would be like, the bravery of a knight, the compassion of a fairy godmother, the wisdom of the wizards, and I don't know, something to do with princesses. I'm not sure what, some aspect that shows that he's a rightful ruler in Enchanted Lands. So so I just thought that would be kind of a cool thing, and this would kind of revolve around him doing those things and him discovering that he was this long lost prince, right? Of course, Harold knows all this, but he needs him to help him perhaps get rid of Max, or maybe just banish him permanently, making sure that he can never come back, or putting him in prison or whatever. Whatever I decide later. So I guess it's just a little bit of story, and it looks like I've hit my 15 minutes for this particular video. So I'm gonna stop this, and then I am going to make another video where probably I will I might set up my graphics tablet. It's an old Wacom from, I don't know, over, it's got to be over almost 9 or 10 years. 2010, before 2010 maybe. I don't remember when I got it, but it was a long time ago. And it's funny because I'm only just starting to getting around to using it now, right? But that is I think what I'm going to do in the next one. I'm actually going to show it. I'll have to find some old drivers. I actually think I have the drivers somewhere. But so we'll see you in the next update.